Y'all, Drake is pissed. He's mad at Joe Budden. Let's get into the happenings, what is going on. And I do not want to cape for Joe Budden in this video. However, I do want to give you guys some context as to where this came from, because I am an avid Joe Budden podcast listener. I've literally been listening since the beginning. I'm very familiar with the personalities on the podcast and why they kind of navigate and do some of the things that they do. And I'm familiar with how Joe Budden feels about Drake. So let's get into it. Drake yesterday dropped his, anticipated album For All the Dogs, right? Now, everybody's been talking about this album. He recently did an album with 21 Savage. It was cool, but we've all kind of been waiting for this solo Drake album. So he dropped the album, and of course, people have their opinions about the album, whatever. I have listened to most of it. Quickly, I will say the album is cool. However, I think it's too long. I like the first half of the album more than the second. I feel like he could have consolidated. But this video is not a review on the Drake album. Let's get into where this beef is coming from. Joe Budden. If you are familiar with him, and in case you're not, he has an interesting relationship with Drake. But I will say this, he is a huge Drake fan. He loves Drake, really, really loves, almost obsessed. Not an unhealthy obsession, but he really, really rocks with Drake. He admires him as a musician. I think he likes him. I think they have friendly banter over the years, teasing and messing with each other back and forth. So whenever Drake drops an album, he reviews it. This is not unique to what he does. Literally, him and the guys, and now Melissa Ford, when Drake drops an album, Joe reviews it, almost every song. So this is not unique to for all of you are like, where's this coming from? How dare Joe? You know what I mean? And you might feel like that, but he does this every single time Drake drops an album. However, for whatever reason, Champagne Poppy feels a way, child, about some of the things that Drake had to say. And I think it's unfortunate because some of the blogs, Shade Room, Baller Alert, they are only talking about some of the negative things that Joe said. But let me just tell you guys, and again, this is not me caping for him. He's had a lot of positive things to say about this album. It wasn't a critique that he just dragged Drake. It did not. But, the blogs, they're going to pick up what's salacious. That's what they do. And so those are the clips that you're seeing. But I'm just saying, as someone, I listened to the pod this morning. I listened to the entire review. I personally got a kick out of the portion of the review when he talked about, the collaboration that Drake did with J. Cole. Listen to it. It's funny. But again, it wasn't all negative. He gave him equal parts positive, equal parts negative. I wouldn't even say negative, harsh criticism. So one of the parts of the review that Joe Budden did was where he was kind of talking about, look, Drake, you're 36, you're about to be 37. I'm gonna need you to kind of grow up. You're really invested and worried about satisfying the younger listeners. You want to do, collabs with Sexy Red and all these young kids. And it's I'm gonna need you to be a little more mature. You are lyrically amazing. And so I want to see your experiences reflect the lyrics. He used J. Cole for an example. J. Cole's music and lyrics have matured as he's matured. So, I partially agree with that with Joe Budden. However, if Drake is living that lifestyle where he's out in the streets, I don't know that man, he seems that, he loves the ladies. He's out there in the strip clubs. He's going to rap about what he's talking about. J. Cole's not doing that. He has a whole wife and kids. He be, isolated in the woods of North Carolina. J. Cole is chilling. So J. Cole's lyrics are going to reflect something different because he's not living the same lifestyle that Drake is living. So where I understand where Joe's coming from, I also understand that you're rapping about what you're doing. Drake just got off, tour, or he might still be on tour. I'm not sure. But you know what I'm saying, he's out there kicking it, and so, you know, maybe the lyrics reflect that. So I kind of agree with Joe. I kind of don't. However, that seems to be what might have sparked, you know, this irritation and agitation that Drake is feeling for Joe. Drake posted something on the Twitters, or what, X or whatever you call it. He posted something today. It was rather scathing. I've never seen him. You know, he's kind of, you know, came back at Joe and bantered with him, but never like this. But this is like so juicy, y'all, that I'm actually going to read the tweet, or I don't know where he put this, if it was Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but I'm going to read it in its entirety. And he added Joe Budden. He wants all the smoke. He said, I'm not even about to pretend like, you know, I'm subbing you. I'm going to act you so you know it's real. So let's read this, okay? This is what Champagne Poppy to Joe Budden. Joe Budden, you have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you were doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. For any artist watching this, just remember you're watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switch careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check. The way he spelled check was hilarious, y'all. And the raps you write had 450 men showing up at your shows in dusty Aniche jeans to screw up their face to mood music 29 and pretend you are the GOAT. Please, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset. After the fact, this guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. You retired. He should have said you are, but it's fine. You retired. So he said it right. You retired and we never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. Hold on, child. Let me scroll down because he's still going. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap, not because you accomplished all you need to. It's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in the generations to think that the whole everybody's entitled to their opinion is a real thing. This is a man projecting his own self-hate and the fact I did and continue to do everything he wanted to do for himself. If you need it put in simpler terms, ooh, child, some of the grammar in here is terrible, Drake. I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973, that's the area code I'm assuming he lives in, and flies first class on special occasions. Love, Drake. No, I'm playing. I added that at the end. First of all, I'm almost certain that Drake wrote that himself. I'm certain that he did that on his iPhone and that he was typing because there is grammar issues in there. That's fine. But damn, all of that. Now, Drake is entitled to reply because, you know, Joe, he's very much plentiful on expressing how he feels about things. So he cannot in turn be mad about Aubrey responding. But I think that because in the sportsmanship of what Joe does, I know how much he loves Drake. Like, he loves him. And this is, again, when Cole drops albums, when Kendrick drops albums, he does this. And I guess if you're an artist, you're sensitive about your stuff. I understand, you know, Drake's, maybe he's fed up. Maybe he's like, look, I'm tired of every time I drop an album, I can't just drop an album. Everybody has something to say. But Drake, you are outside of Beyonce, you're the biggest artist in the world. So people are going to have critiques and things to say about the art that you put out to us. It's just what it is. I don't know why whatever Joe said really stung, because Joe has actually said so much worse about Drake. So I don't know what it is about this particular Maybe it's because the blogs was gassing it, and they're the ones that like put so much out. Because again, it was like Shade Room, Baller Alert. Then here comes Drake. Drake's like, I'm tired of people at me on this. I'm going to say something. I'm going to assume that's what it is. But again, it's just, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Joe, if you're going to have a lot to say, you got to be ready with what comes with it. We know Joe's gonna respond on the podcast on Wednesday. He's gonna have an hour dedicated to this, and he's gonna be quiet. He might say some little things, but Joe's very strategic. He's gonna be very, very calculated in how he responds, and he's gonna do it via his podcast as he should. But I love it. I think this is hilarious. But I think that Drake's a smidge sensitive. As is Joe. Joe's sensitive too. He tries to act like he's not, and I love them both, but they're both sensitive. But I've been listening to Joe Budden for so long, and I know that I don't feel like he meant any harm by it. Again, in his review, he had lots to say. He did say that he got washed up by J. Cole. It did, and he did Cole ate your ass up on the feature. That again, I was tickled pink by that. I got a cackle. I enjoyed that part. But in all seriousness, he had a lot of good things to say in addition to his harsh critique. And so hopefully that's not lost, for those of you that don't necessarily listen to his podcast on a regular basis. But again, as sidebar, there are a lot of songs on the album that I like. I just think that I'm not a big fan of these 2025 albums. Chris Brown is terrible with that too, giving us all that damn music. And then, you give us 20 to 30 songs, of course, half of it's going to be trash, and I think that is, Drake doesn't do that all the time, but he did here. And I will say, what is it? 23 records. He could have left half of those in the studio. He didn't have to. We didn't need all 23. But like I said, who's giving us an album unless it's like Biggie and it's Life After Death, where it was a double album and it was fire. You know what I'm saying? Outside of specific instances like that, it's rare when you get that much music and everything is amazing. It's just not. It's not happening. So I'm not even necessarily mad at Drake, because I feel like a lot of artists make this mistake. Again, Chris Brown does the same thing. But I don't know, y'all. Y'all listen to the podcast. I think this is hilarious, but I do think maybe Drake got a little too sensitive with this. But who am I? That's just my opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to chat with y'all about this real quick. Let me know your thoughts. Drop down in my comments, and let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like Drake's album? Do you think it's too damn long like me? What's your opinion? And also, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. All right, y'all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I think I'm done with y'all for today. Okay, bye.